Hey, it's Clay. Welcome to another video. This is going to be an introduction, kind of first impressions and features overview of a new pedal I just got, the Atomic Ampli-Firebox. I previously owned the Atomic Amplifier, the original 3-button red version, and picked up this guy, and I feel like everything that I really loved about the original amplifier exists in this box and is actually taken to a whole new level. So I'm really excited about this. I feel like it's got a lot of really cool uses, and it's almost something that almost any guitar player could get some benefit out of. So want to do kind of, again, a first impressions and an overview as to how the unit works to give you an idea if this might be a good fit for you. So to start off with some first impressions, let's talk about tone. It's probably the most important thing. And having spent a lot of time with its predecessor, the Atomic Amplifier 3, this has the same exact software. So the amp modeling in this box by Studio Devil is exactly the same. It still hosts impulse responses, and it's still very, very good. I feel like the amp modeling here is excellent, and certainly rivaling some of the higher-end modelers like from Fractal or from Helix or Kemper, definitely in that conversation. Now, comparing it, I have spent a lot of time with a Fractal AX8 and an AXFX2. One of the big differences there is this has much fewer amp models and fewer parameters to tweak within those models. So I would say this is a little bit more simple, especially with all the knobs being on the foot switch right in here. You've got your basic amp controls right there, ready to go. So this is a little bit more simpler, easier to tweak, easier to get up and going, whereas the Fractal is a little bit more deeper, in-depth, able to achieve a more specific tone if that's what you're seeking. So more of just a stylistic difference than a quality difference, if that makes sense. So the amp modeling is very, very good, and that's really exciting. But one of the things that I like about this unit quite a lot is how it's really not just an amp modeling box. It really does quite a bit more than that. It's really kind of a modeler shrunk down. You know, when I was looking at this, I was kind of assuming that this could be like a direct amp replacement, and that is certainly true, but within this box, you actually have basically presets. Now, it's not quite as powerful or as thorough as other modelers, but you have quite a lot of room to tweak and control your tone. It hosts impulse responses, which is huge. To even get a box that hosts impulse responses like this, you know, for $300, this is a steal, to be completely honest, which is really exciting. So that's what I really like about it. I can fit it on a pedal board. I've got some Velcro on here. It'll go at the end of my chain. You know, so that means I can take all the pedals that I really love and I can use them with a tube amp, or I can use it with my amplifier. It's the exact same output, which is really exciting. let's talk a little bit about the onboard controls and the features of this box to give you a little bit better idea of how it works and maybe clear up some misconceptions, give you an idea if it might work for you. All right, so here we are taking a look at the front of the unit. I'm actually going to take a look around the sides first. As far as your input, it accepts a typical instrument input. It has a high input impedance, which matches exactly what you would find if you plugged a guitar into an amplifier. We've got a typical 9-volt power plug, and actually the nice part about this is the current draw on this is a little bit lower. I think it's like 200 milliamps, so a little more accessible for most power supplies. It also has a USB input here, so you can run that into your computer. And then for outputs, we've got both 1/4 inch and XLR, which is really nice. That basically means you don't need any sort of DI. If you want to run direct to front of house, you can just run straight from your XLR and drive a really long cable just perfectly healthily. Or if you want to run to 1/4 inch out to a power amp, you can do that too. So a really nice, simple set of features to work with a lot of different devices. Now, taking a look at the front, we've got a really nice set of controls. And now I will admit I initially had kind of to readjust my expectations of what the box is capable of. But now that I've gotten used to it and spent some time with it, I really like how they implemented this. We've got our typical amp controls: bass, mid, treble, presence, gain, master. Then we've got a reverb control and a level control. Everything is pretty straightforward there. Just so you understand, with gain and master, gain is more of your preamp gain, whereas master in this box is more of your power amp control. The power amp is a pretty important part to tweak, is part of your tone setup, and so especially if you're running a vintage style amp like a Plexi, this is going to be really crucial. And then your level is your governing your total output there, you can crank the master up to get those nice power amp distortion tones, and then use your level to modify your overall output. All right, now I want to talk about these switches here in the middle, and they are labeled amp style, amp channel, but frankly that's not exactly what they are. These two switches here on the left are really your preset controls, and then this switch over here on the right controls the outputs. So I'm going to go from the right and then go to these two. So this switch in the up position says cab 1/4, so that means that the cab sim in the box goes only to the 1/4 inch, not the XLR. In the middle, the cab sim goes to both, and then in the bottom, the cab only goes to the XLR. And this is really nice because what you can do is you could set it up where you send one, maybe the XLR, to your front of house with a cab sim enabled, but then you send the other with the cab sim disabled and run that into a power amp and a typical guitar cabinet on stage. So a really nice feature set there. Then, with these two switches on the left, what they really are, I think more accurately, would be how you access your presets. You have 3 positions on each switch, and it's when you combine them within each of their 3 positions, it gives you 9 total options, and with those 9 options, you have 9 presets. So, and I'm not referring to amp models or channels because it really is a preset. And I can show you more of that when we look at the on-screen editor. But basically, when you have, let's say you have this right position in the up switch, you have preset 1 in the up, middle is 2, and then down is 3. Then if you move this to the middle, again, you have position up gives you preset number 4, then there's 5, then there's 6. And then if you move this to the bottom position, you've got up again at the top 7, middle is 8, bottom is 9. So there's how you really access your 9 different presets, however you want to think about it. And within those presets, you can have a totally different setup of amp, cabinet, and all the different effects that go along with it. So really handy stuff there. The way I've currently got it set up is, so if I start with presets 1, 2, and 3, I kind of continuously go from clean to dirty with different amp models. So that's kind of how I'm using this, is more of an amp selection, but you can really set it up however you like. You could choose to use, let's say you have a favorite amp that's your favorite amp and you use it all the time. You could use this to select different cabs using that same amp, and just give you some different options there, maybe with how you route the effects. Nora, just a second, sweetheart. And then lastly, I want to talk about the foot switches. Now, this left foot switch by default turns the unit on or off. Nora Jean, Can you please be a little quiet, please? Can you please be a little quiet, please? I'm almost done. So this left foot switch here turns the unit on or off. You could bypass it completely if you like. And then the right foot switch is labeled boost, but really what this does is kind of an active foot switch to control different effects within your preset. So it's not limited just to boosting. You could use this to turn on or off delay or reverb or compressor or do a variety of different tasks. These switches also have secondary functions. If you press and hold them, you access a different option. If you press and hold this left foot switch, you actually leave the unit on entirely, and then you can use the foot switch to go between two different amp settings. So if you want to do like a clean and a dirty, you could use this to switch between the two, but then you could not turn the whole unit on or off. Then on this side, if you press and hold, you actually access the tap tempo for the delay. So some really cool stuff there. And again, with the boost, remember you can attribute multiple different effects to that switch. So with the switch, you could turn on an overdrive, a delay, and a reverb if you wanted. So very powerful controls here on the box. All right, now we are taking a look at the computer editor. I've been able to successfully get this to work on both a Mac and a Windows 10 PC, and frankly, it was very, very easy. It was just basically plug and play. The big thing about the software editor, and frankly, I would say that it is pretty much a must if you're going to get the most out of this box. You have to use it. Not to say that you can't use the on-screen controls. They actually are very effective for what they do, but just that there are more features in the software that are pretty essential and is really necessary. So, when I mentioned with these two controls here on the left and middle, how they're really preset controls, that's because you have this signal chain here, complete with noise gate, compressor, boost, amp, EQ, echo, which is the delay, reverb, and cab. And with those, you can really get a wide range of sounds. Now, this is a little bit limited compared to the Amplifier 3, but still very powerful. I think the Amplifier 3 has a couple more blocks like modulation, but this really covers a lot of grounds also. And you, again, have access to controls. For example, looking at the cabinet, this is where you load your impulse response, and this is really important for figuring everything out. So, I would just say overall, you have a lot of really cool controls here. Want to take specifically a look at the foot switch assign. Like I said, you could assign the boost foot switch. You could, if it's yellow, that means it's on. If it's inverted, that means that it is on when the foot switch is off. But then when you actually press the boost button, you will turn off the invert and on the assign. And so, overall, just wanted to give you guys a quick first impressions of the unit. I'm really excited about it. I think it's an excellent little box. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you're looking for tone clips, check out the other amplifier clips on my channel and stay tuned for more from the amplifier box. Thanks a lot. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.